Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen, welcome back to Sunday Morning in the Old Cookbook Show. Today we're going to do a recipe out of this well-loved, well-used cookbook sent in by a viewer of the show. Thank you for sending it in. It's called the Cornflour Cookbook. It is coming apart at the seams. It needs to be resewn. It's in pretty bad shape, but there's some amazing recipes in here. Absolutely amazing recipes in here. It's from Gary, Indiana. It seems to be undated, but I'm going to say it's sometime around 1915, given what's some of the other things that are going on inside the book sort of gives you that impression, or gives me that impression. It's published by the Ladies' Aid Society of the First Presbyterian Church in Gary, Indiana. It is a community cookbook. These are recipes submitted by people in the community, and as such, their names are given, so people know who submitted the recipe. And so I find these books where people's names are in them kind of fascinating, because you're putting your best foot forward. Everybody knows that you submitted that recipe. So it's something that hopefully you've tested, hopefully you know it works, hopefully you love it, and you've put it in the book so that everybody else will be impressed. Sometimes there's duds, and I've seen a few in this book where I think, is the recipe a dud, or have tastes just changed, and that's something that I wouldn't eat. Today we're going to make something called Pittsburgh potatoes. So I've got a pot of water here, salted, and I've got some diced potatoes, and we're going to boil the diced potatoes with chopped up onion. So I'll get that on the boil. Now, the potatoes have been boiling for 5 minutes, and at this point I'm supposed to add half of a 10-cent can of pimentos. Now, I could make myself crazy and try to find out how big a 10-cent can of pimentos was. I don't know what the time period is. In the end, it doesn't really matter. The pimentos in this recipe are just for flavoring. And as such, you can add as little or as much as you want. And if I didn't already have a jar of pimentos in the fridge ready to go, I wouldn't be buying them at the grocery store to put in this. I'd be putting in pickled jalapenos. I think that would make a wonderful addition to this. So you have to kind of look at what do you think flavor-wise makes sense for you. And if you don't want to put pimentos in, don't put pimentos in. Put in something else. Maybe you want to put in some olives. That's your thing. Go right ahead. So pimentos in, and we'll just let those potatoes boil away. Back here, let's see, I've got some dinner buns rising. I think they're almost ready to go in the oven. Okay. So once the pimentos are in the pot, this only boils for another 5 minutes. You're just sort of parboiling or partially boiling the potatoes. You're not going to cook them all the way through. These are going to go into the oven in the next step. So the recipe, if you looked at the recipe, you're probably wondering what's going on here, and I am too. I'm wondering if this is macaroni and cheese that someone was making and they didn't have any macaroni but they had potatoes, so they subbed them in. Or was it maybe potatoes au gratin, and they just changed up the recipe a little bit to treat the potatoes differently and add some different flavors. I don't know. So the next thing though is to make the sauce that goes on top, and it's just a list of ingredients. It doesn't tell you how to make the sauce, because you probably should already know how to make a cheese sauce. So what I'm doing is melting the butter in the bottom of the pan. Okay, the butter is melted, so in goes flour, and we cook this together, and essentially what we're making here is a roux. But I know that word scares a lot of people. Okay, I've got the heat fairly low with that because I'm going to deal with the potatoes next. They are done. I've got two choices of pan because it doesn't say what size. I'm going to try this one and see what happens. So I'm going to dump the water out of the potatoes. And then dump the potatoes into the baking dish. I think that baking dish is going to be fine. Now, give this a stir, looking good. I need milk for that, so It asks for a cup of milk. There we go. And we whisk that into the flour and butter mixture. Some pepper. And some salt. So I'm going to turn the heat down just below medium. It is thickening up. It doesn't take long for that sauce to thicken up. And at this point, I'm going to put in, it calls for a ½ pound of grated cheese. Doesn't say what kind of cheese, whatever kind of cheese you like. I've just got some white supermarket cheddar, nothing special. I put that in, and I'm going to stir it into the white sauce that we made. All right, melt that in. Really nice looking cheese sauce. And if it looks too thick, which this one does, I'm just going to thin it with a little bit more milk. That's looking much better. Now don't be afraid in your own kitchen to make a decision. Look at something and say, that's too thick, it's too thin, and then take the appropriate steps to change it. I've never made this recipe before, but I have made a cheese sauce like this dozens and dozens of times, and I've got a pretty good idea in my brain what it needs to look like. And I think this is probably pretty good, even maybe a little too thick. But we're going to pour it over the potatoes. And then I'm just going to stir it all together, get it good and mixed together. Now, it just says bake in an oven until potatoes are done. Doesn't give a time or temperature. My oven is already at 350 degrees, and I have some dinner rolls baking right now. So this will sit on the counter till the dinner rolls come out, and then this will go in, I'd say maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, because the potatoes, after that boil, were pretty close to being done. I don't think it's going to take much. You're probably just looking to brown the top. Okay, there we go. That's over 190. The buns are done, so they come out. And in go the potatoes.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey,
Let me
Jules.
get that for you. Hey, friends. What have you got? It looks, you got casserole mac and cheese, maybe, with the breadcrumbs? It looks all kind of cheesy on the outside there.
It's cheese and potatoes. It's kind of like a potato au gratin. It's kind of like a scallop potato. It's kind of like
No macaroni is what you're telling me?
It's kind of like macaroni and cheese, but with potato. It's kind of
That
like
sounds good.
It's
I'm good with that.
Pittsburgh potatoes. If you live in Pittsburgh, tell me, if you live in Pittsburgh, is there such a thing as Pittsburgh potatoes? Do you know what this dish is today in
Go downtown to your
2020?
favorite diner and order some?
And order some? Yeah.
I feel like it's super hot and we need to take a pause.
It is super hot.
Well, what's the red bit?
Pimento. This looks volcanic, doesn't it? It just came out of the oven.
It is still pretty hot.
Okay. Okay. Potatoes and cheese. Can you go wrong with potatoes and cheese?
No,
I don't think you can.
no, you know, and then of course you could have bacon.
Bacon.
Because, you know, why wouldn't you add bacon?
Bacon would be really good. I think the pimentos add some nice color, some nice red streak in it, but they don't add a whole lot of flavor to me. I think bacon and jalapenos would be really good.
And that would go where I would sometimes add sriracha to my...
There's a little odd, though, with cubed potatoes. Because the potato is more present. With a scallop potato or a potato au gratin, when you slice them really thin, the potato is there, but it's
very
not...
mushy.
Yeah, this is...
You're still eating potatoes.
You're eating potatoes. You're eating potatoes and cheese. Okay, so potatoes and cheese. I love this.
Where did you go wrong?
Pittsburgh potatoes, great on its own. great the way it is, but a great starting point to a whole bunch of other side dishes for all of the holidays where you put potatoes on the side.
There you
Thanks
go.
for stopping by. See you again soon.